Okay, just so everybody can hear, she asked about what the pros and cons are about doing recruitment either earlier or later, whether you're a freshman or a sophomore.
That's a really great question. It used to be that going through recruitment as a sophomore at large SEC schools, and particularly schools in the Southeast, was a disadvantage. And pledging as a sophomore was a disadvantage. Now we have a recruitment quota, and I didn't talk a whole lot about quotas, but quota is based on the number of women who are going through the recruitment process, and it's set at the end of the recruitment process. It changes every year on every campus, but it's based on the number of women who are going through the process without having dropped out of the process. So there's now a upperclassmen quota, so women who are sophomores and above can go through, and there's a separate quota for those women. So it doesn't count against or hurt to go through as a sophomore. And sometimes that's better for a student to get acclimated to the campus environment, to get used to and meet friends. But on the other side, too, and the benefits of the sorority experience, for women who pledge as freshmen, there is an instant support system, like Maggie was talking about, the support system of having someone there when you trip and fall. But also, every sorority has a GPA requirement. A GPA requirement to become active and to stay active within the chapter. And there's a lot of support for those new members to stay active. Women who are members and to make those grades. And so there's the assistance and mentorship from older women, older members of the chapter. There's also a lot of educational process that happens as well. So alcohol abuse is a big deal. And students who are under 21 are not allowed to drink. Krista talked about the having alcohol or substances in sorority chapter houses. But going to parties as well, chapters have to follow the laws of the local and state laws when it comes to underage drinking. Because of that, there is a lot of support and education given to those members of those chapters. So as a parent, that's important to me. There's no hazing of any type within our chapters. No hazing, and that's a zero tolerance by all of the NPC member groups. So that shouldn't be a part of the sorority experience. Women who pledge sororities are more likely to stay in school. They're more likely to maintain their grade point average or increase their grade point average. They're more likely to become involved on campus and be leaders on campus. Sororities are the largest leadership training centers for women on college campuses. And as a woman, that's very important to me, that we have that opportunity as women to develop those leadership skills. Leadership skills that we would use not only in our collegiate chapters and alumni chapters after we graduate, but also in the Student Government Association, to any other positions on campus. Those leadership development skills, and all of those skills from recruitment to learning to live together as a group, the educational programs and that component of sorority membership is there. So as a parent, having a daughter who is a member of a sorority as a freshman is a great thing. But there's also opportunities as a sophomore as well. And again, it's much more than those 4 years that they're in college. It's definitely a lifetime experience.
Okay, did that answer your question?
Can I have one thing in there too? I'm sorry. Also, just in most chapters, sophomores tend to have, if you're interested from a leadership perspective, sophomores tend to have some of the, basically entry-level leadership opportunities, and then juniors have some of the more recognized roles like president and vice president and that kind of thing. So one potential con would be, if that's something that's interesting to you, it's better to join as a freshman and then have more people know you, and so when it comes time to slate, and that way, you're more well known from that perspective.
If a campus has recruitment in January, which is what we call deferred recruitment, how does that change the recruitment process based on what happened fall semester? Do your grades come from fall semester? What about your friendships during fall semester? How do you meet people in the sororities fall semester?
Yes.
So I went to Emory, which is a deferred recruitment campus, and so I can speak to that. I've also advised at Emory for many years. I've seen it play out. The pros are, well, in Emory at least, every freshman and sophomore now are required to go on campus, and there's freshman dorms and whatnot. So a pro is you really develop a friend base independent of the Greek system. You know, in a campus that's about 5,000 undergraduates, that's a nice thing. All the freshmen live kind of clustered in an area. So you also know women through your classes. You know, the sophomores are typically very excited to meet freshmen because it's a lot of fun. So you're getting to know women yourself, you know, outside of the recruitment process, which I think is an advantage. I mean, all I know is the deferred recruitment process, so I'm a fan of that personally, though I know NPC prefers fall recruitment. But you get to know women outside the class. But to your question about grades, it is your fall semester grades that the sororities are going to look at. Your high school grades are no longer considered because unless for some reason someone's transferring in, I guess, at the January timeframe, and all we have, but we will use fall semester grades. There's a GPA requirement from that perspective. The same would hold true for a sophomore going through in fall recruitment. If you have college grades, the sorority is going to use those college grades. The negative of a deferred recruitment process is the gentlemen on campus often have, they're not shy about voicing their opinions about the stereotypes of the women's groups on those campuses. So you sometimes can get a skewed perspective of, you know, because the men are more likely to say, oh, well, house A is this way, and house B is this way, and house C is this way, and house D is this way. Which, as with many stereotypes, that's often unfair. You know, and I know that women every sorority Emory does not think that their stereotype applies to them, you know, because we're individuals, and they are. So I think that's the downside of deferred recruitment is it's very difficult to break free of some of the stereotypes that exist.
So it might be harder to keep an open mind, as you stress, when you've been there a whole semester and you come with more knowledge.
The question is it harder to keep an open mind? And I mean, it might be, but I would still, the good thing though is I think, in some ways though, you're meeting women in so many different areas. You know, you see them at the gym, or you see them in your classes, or you see them, so in some ways it actually opens your eyes, like, oh wow, Sally and Sarah and Sandy, they're all awesome, and they're in different houses. You know, now the challenge can be found if you become BFF with Sally and she's in house A, you know, not to get necessarily attached to that. And also, you know, the Greek neutral rules on a deferred recruitment campus are sometimes tough because you go through all of the fall semester and you're in classes and all that, and everybody comes back from winter break, and then the sorority women can't talk to you anymore because you're going through it. And so it's sometimes very awkward because you might see them in the student union, you're like, hey! And the sorority woman has to kind of, you know, not really engage in much of a conversation, so that can be kind of strange, you know. But I think it gives you a better perspective on Greek life if you continue to maintain an open mind and you see all the wonderful women that you're meeting in various activities in the fall.